Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you're having a good Thursday. Thank you for joining me today. All right, well, we've got some questions coming. Sanchez family, I went back to listen to your videos last night. I have 12 children, most with disabilities. I'm learning not to label them even though they have disabilities. Starting to think it's what stops them from learning. They have in their mind, hey, I have disabilities and XYZ. I'm teaching them that they are more than what they are diagnosed. How can I encourage them without being upset when things get hard on me? So I think this is a good question. I think it's good that we're careful about the designations we have and all of those type of things, and that they don't become limiting or pigeonholes, right, that we put our kids into. There can be things that people do, generational bends or genetic bends. Like I can say, well, I have a temper, I'm Irish. Well, does that have to be that way? Or, I'm bullheaded because I'm whatever. Our family, you're Pratt, so that means, you do this. That to me is definitely something that puts people in a pigeonhole. It accepts a bend that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how God has created them. So I think you're wise to not focus on the diagnosis as an identifier. Now, I wasn't, so there's neurotypical. Neurotypical is basically what the average is, what standards are developed around, right? And so we do serve a fair amount of audience in our homeschool groups with master books that are not neurotypical. They may not learn, they may have a disability, they may be dyslexic, they may have different ways of learning, processing, all of these things. I consider the fact that I'm not neurotypical to be my superpower. If I embrace the fact that I can't do what a neurotypical person could do, but the superpower that my ability gives me is I see things, I have the ability to hyper-focus, but I also have the ability to be overwhelmed by the big picture. And so oftentimes when I look at and I come into a situation, I see the big picture very quickly because I'm overwhelmed by it, and then I'm able to focus down on something. Yep, there's challenges, right? My brain gets sleepy, I procrastinate things, etc., etc. But that's not what I'm focused on. What I'm focused on is where's the superpower in the way God has created me, and for me, that's it. Like I just have ability, and then I'm very creative, and enjoy creativity because my brain goes in all kinds of directions, and so my encouragement is don't be limited by, don't let that be a labeler. But also begin to look for what is the unique strength or ability that God has given you, and then what is the testimony that you have because of that. So in school, I didn't have the best handwriting. In school, I wasn't going to be an A student. In school, right, all these things. In my report cards, every one of them, I'm fortunate that I have all my grade school report cards for some stupid reason. They were mailed to me recently. And all of them said, Randy enjoys socializing more than doing school. Randy enjoys leading the class, even though he's not the teacher. Randy enjoys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Academics was never what Randy enjoyed. Randy enjoyed leading, being funny, all of these things, right? That's my power. What they didn't say is Randy's exhibiting a behavior that shows that he will be a good leader someday, that he'll care for the people around him and his team, that he's good at making connections with people. It didn't say any of that. It was actually trying to shame the fact that I had skills that I need today to be successful. If I had listened to that and started to identify and been shamed by that, I would have been, the world would have missed out on me. So that's my encouragement, Sanchez family, is it's not about being average. It's figuring out what makes you exceptional, right? Everybody has an exception. I recently, we have an author that's talking with us, and his son was playing basketball, and he ran into the wall and broke his neck, and he was and so some would say his whole life goes down the drain. He has encouraged and motivated, and he's been featured in different news and stories, using what has happened to him to be a role model for others who we have no reason to complain when we see what he is and how he's holding himself up. That's what makes him exceptional. So I think that's a new way that we start looking at our children who are not neurotypical. They have exceptions, and it makes them exceptional. So, Jen M, if this isn't the right place, let me know. But do you happen to know the order they plan to release Practice Makes Polished? Also, in your opinion, what is the best course to use for the fifth grader who needs more work on compassion, teamwork, attitude? Hoping one of the Bible courses would be helpful, but I'm not sure which one. Okay, so the Practice Makes Polished will go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably back to 1. So that's, I think Kristen's working on level 3 right now. Level 2 should be out in about 6 weeks, or soon. Let's see. As far as compassion, teamwork, and attitude, Jen, I'd love to know what context you're looking to develop that in your student. Is it with siblings, family, just overall emotional and social intelligence that you're looking for? I think siblings and parents. So maybe looking at some of that would be think outside the box a little bit. Find other friends, struggling interior. Yeah. So, all right. Now let's unpack this a little bit. So, you're hoping that there's a curriculum that would help her with compassion, teamwork, and attitude. That's there. Her friends, she's fine with her friends, but she has an attitude towards her family. My first thought would be inputs. I want to know what's going on with the inputs. What is she getting from culture? What is she listening to? What is she watching? And what are her friends saying? What is the friends' relationship with their parents and siblings? I've alluded to this over the years, but one of my children was extremely susceptible to taking on any attitudes from TV shows. And so we started to notice this attitude. And then one day, I think the Lord just gave us an insight that there was a TV show called Arthur. And we're like, that's the attitude she's picked up towards us was from Arthur. And so we removed that from a program that she would watch, and the attitude corrected. So, right, we're the average of the people we surround ourselves with. With homeschoolers, that means also the artists, the environment, the friends that you have. So I think I would start there. Is, okay, she's good with her friends, but her family, she's not. What's going on there? And then I would look for profiles of compassion, teamwork, and good attitude. And have those discussions, right? I'm not going to endorse any one person, but if you notice, recently there was a basketball player whose teammate got taken down, and immediately she reciprocated with taking out the other teammate. And she's like, you don't mess with my teammates. You may or may not think that that's a good person to point out, but for one of my sons, I just wanted to point out that that's the teammate that I would want on my team, who says, you mess with me, you mess with them, you mess with the whole team. And we have each other's backs. And we know that when we walk out of the house, I know that my teammates have my back. And we may have a little friction or tension, which is normal in any family or group or anything else. But when it comes to everybody outside, we're gonna go that direction. Sometimes missionaries, different people, but I would just say be careful of if Jen, if you think that she's a student who absorbs and reacts easily by external circumstances or external input, just monitor that one closely. As far as curriculum goes, I think there's a lot of our Bible curriculum in the lower grades is good. I'm not sure what age. Oh, fifth grader. So fifth grader, we kind of have a gap there. I know there's More Than Words fits that level in the upper, but I don't know. You could do that. So good. Yeah, the biographies would be good to do the biographies. That show that. We have some new books that are coming. Marilyn Boyer has done Profiles in Valor and Profiles in Integrity. There will be 2 4-book series that are coming out as readers, and I think that's good. Jen says she does react to external things like that. Yeah, check that one. And sometimes, Jen, it's just one friend's influence. Like 5th grade is that hard time, right? Because all of a sudden our parents, we're wanting a little independence, and so we're starting to pull away a little bit. You're beginning to go a little further, be trusted a little bit more. But it's kind of like, okay, what am I noticing? Is there a rebellious theme or a theme of something that's like looks down on parents or looks down on siblings? How is that? And sometimes it's a matter of saying, if this was my child, I would probably start with, you're part of this family, and the Lord has called us to raise up leaders, and you're going to be a leader. You're going to influence nations for Christ. And so one of the things I've noticed, though, is that when you're around this person, you lose the edge a little bit, and you start to become a reflection of them instead of you projecting light that they become a reflection of. And scripturally, like the moon reflects the light of the sun. As believers, we reflect the light of the Creator, of God, right? And when we get behind flesh, so to speak, we get eclipsed, we stop reflecting that and we begin to reflect else. So, good. Charity, awesome. More Than Words 2 has those things that it does talk about. So good. So just a little bit of, hey, I'm here as a coach. I'm here to help you, and I'm here to navigate and guide. And this is just something I'm noticing, that this person or this group, this friend group, maybe doesn't bring out the best in you. And I'm not judging you. I'm wanting to see you step into the leader that you are and influence and those type of things. You focus a little bit on those hard things. Sometimes you can say you need to treat your brothers better. You need to treat your mom and dad better. It doesn't always work as well as just removing the bad influences that are setting the example that she's modeling. So, all right. The Merritts, she had a story about her student, her 8-year-old, saying that God was a good leader. And I think, thank you for sharing that story. I love hearing that type of thing. Michelle, how do I encourage my son when most of his closest friends are getting and playing a video game we don't allow him to play? Or they're getting new tablets, games, devices they all want to talk about. How does he build these friendships? And will you consider doing student teaching tips again for the school year? I don't know. I guess you guys can weigh in. I don't know. Did student teaching tips, was it helpful? If it was helpful, it'd be something I would consider. So Michelle, this is a hard spot in life. I think in Scripture you look at Samson, right? Samson was told no wine, and he couldn't cut his hair, and his strength came from standing out and being different. I think that there's a couple ways of doing it. Number one is I have a responsibility. So before the Lord, I stand accountable for what I allow and what I don't allow, and I'm not always good at it, but at the end of the day, when I do take a stand on something, I don't even have to be able to justify that. It's just what we do. And as part of the Lord knew, like I would say to your son, the Lord knew when he put you in this family what you were gonna need. And as part of this family, this is how we roll. And so we don't play those games, we don't do those things, and whether you like it or not, that's just the way it is. It may be, you may think it's unfair. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the fact that you're under our authority right now, and we're called to protect and nurture you and train you up. That's one approach. I think another approach is to think about an athlete, especially for your son. Let me say this, Michelle. If I was speaking to your son, who I've had the opportunity and the privilege of being able to meet, have pictures with, if I was speaking to him, I would say, you are being trained to be a warrior of the King. You are like Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When they went to Babylon, they offered them all of the treats, all of the delicacies of Babylon. And Daniel went to the king and said, we don't eat those type of foods. We have a purer diet. And if you would allow us to eat of that diet, see what happens. And what happened was they were stronger, they were healthier, so much so that the king sent out a mandate that everybody had to switch over to the diet of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When for your son, you're on like the king's diet. Like, you're preparing yourself. The Lord has said, be careful what you look at, be careful what you consume, set yourself apart, right? Be holy because I am holy. Unholiness is contagious. It may feel like you're missing out, but what you're missing out on are the contaminants that will take away from the strength that you are nurturing and building for what God has called you to. You're not here by accident. You are here on purpose. The Lord put you in this family. The Lord put you in this spot for a reason, and we are training you and preparing you, nurturing you to go and do battle. And what I don't want to see is that gets taken away. What happened to Samson? Samson wanted what he couldn't have. No, let me take it back. Samson didn't cherish the fact that he had been set apart for something. And so what happened? Samson allowed his hair to be cut. He lost his strength and ended up losing what could have been an amazing testimony. It's still a God testimony. God worked together things for his good to accomplish his purposes in Samson's life. But Samson could have had an entirely different story. So that's how I would probably approach it with your son, Michelle. If I had an opportunity to talk with him, it would be that. It would be, dude, you are being trained for something big. Don't fight against the training. Trust the process, because as you do that and you keep yourself prepared, this is what the Lord can do in your life. And have him encourage that and become not just you're forcing it, but he's also participating in it because he's enrolling in the King's Warrior program. So, Mrs. Black, third time Daniel has come up in the past hour. I think we are in a day like Daniel. Daniel ended up in Babylon, and how you navigate that is something else. So, awesome. All right. Well, I think I got through all my questions, and hopefully there was some benefit. Again, as I say, I should have gave my disclaimer. The views and opinions of Randy Pratt do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Kristen Pratt, Randy's children, the New Leaf Publishing Group, Master Books, its authors, students, families, you name it. Eat the meat, spit out the bone. If I say anything today that you don't feel the Holy Spirit has given witness to, by all means, Holy Spirit trumps every single thing I say. Guys, it's been awesome to spend time with you, and look forward to connecting next week. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you later.